I am with Ian Bowering, the curator of the Cornwall Community Museum in the Woodhouse. Mr. Bowering, I noticed you just did a letter to the editor in response to Council Gardiner's comments about funding for the Community Museum. It was a fairly strong letter from the president of your board. Can you comment a little bit about that?
Yes, I think what I can say is that we were disappointed that this would come to the public, and I think that the president of the Historical Society, Jeffrey Crook, made it very clear that the comments were made on misinformation, particularly as the councillor only attended 3 out of 8 meetings. And I think the important thing to say is we implemented or plan to implement everything Councillor Gardiner requested. So we're extremely disappointed after 55 years working with the city and putting in millions of dollars of our money towards a city building. The city owns a building. We're extremely disappointed that it has to come to this.
Now, you've been curator for how long?
I've been curator here in Cornwall for 33 years.
That's a long time. And, you know, you gave me a little bit of a tour today and we looked at some very interesting exhibits. Does the public really know and support the community museum enough and understand the scope of some of the work that you do here?
I think for the move of the museum, the public supported us tremendously. But the last dozen years, things have gone downhill. The support isn't like we'd like to see. At least the visitation isn't what we'd like to see. Because we have a collection which is of national importance. We've been designated that. And, you know, this is where Ontario began. When I say modern Ontario, of course the natives were here before. This is where modern Ontario began. And we should take great pride in our community. And it's the job of my job and the museum's job to let people know what a wonderful history Cornwall has. And yes, it is disappointing that there hasn't been a greater response. However, we're hoping to address that issue, the Historical Society, and it's important to realize there is a Historical Society that's been in operation since 1920. We're hoping to address that issue and to move forward and ahead because this history is just too important. And this is what keeps me here. This is what's going to keep me here for a long time. To talk about this history, to explain this history, to let people know what a wonderful community Cornwall has been.
Yeah, you said that Councillor Gardiner's tirades actually have inspired and renewed your vigor for performing your duties.
Yes, I think when there's comments like that come up, it makes me realize how important my job is and how I just have to redouble my efforts to work harder to let people understand, because comments like that are only done from misinformation. People wouldn't make comments like that if they knew, and I invite anybody to come and question me and question what we're doing, because we're proud of what we're doing here. And it does reinvigorate me that the hope that people are that interested to ask these questions.
Do you think the city's funding you enough to run the museum properly?
I think the city has in the past funded the museum enough to run the museum properly. We didn't usually do our promotion because that's what the Seaway Valley Tourism Council, Cornwall Seaway Valley Tourism Council, they get the money for the promotion. It's interesting, they get as much money as the museum and the gallery put together. So we can't do the promotion that we'd like to because they do the job. And they do a good job, but they have to love Cornwall and Seaway Valley. I know I'll be criticized for saying that, but we would do more, and in fact we have a plan in place if council gives us the same amount of money they gave us last year to move forward and to revitalize the museum, because we understand that the community needs to know what a rich heritage they have, and they have the opportunity just to visit. We're here, I'm here, this is Wednesday in December, I'm here all throughout the winter. That's what we're here for.
Now, the city just did the Culturescape report, and arts and culture are a big buzzword in this region and in Cornwall. How significant is the history and the museum in the role of arts and culture in this community?
Well, I think when it comes to arts and culture, we're the community's memory. This is where you can learn not to make mistakes, because if you read the past or the future, this is where you can learn about your great past. We're one of the cornerstones of local culture. One of them. I mean, there's visual arts, there's theater, there's music. We're one of them. There's the library, of course. And but we're a very important one because, like I said, we are the community's memory, where you can learn what great things you've done, what mistakes you may have made, and how you can plan to go ahead. It's no point reinventing the wheel, and sometimes that seems to be what all communities do.
During the last municipal election, there was talk of bringing a university to Cornwall, and I was shocked to hear from you today that there actually was a university in Cornwall.
Yes, one of the things I asked when I first came to Cornwall is, why hasn't it grown more? And I was really surprised. This just came out. I suspected there had been something that had gone on, and I didn't know until Dr. Poirier, Jean Poirier of Ottawa University Extension, did a final report that just came out this year. Up until the mid-60s, we had a university. We had a university in two senses. One, the old New York and Central Railway went from where the museum used to be across from Domtar to where the University of Ottawa is. You could take the railway up to 1955 every day, and a lot of Cornwall people did that. After that closed, after the railway line closed, the Classical College, which is where St. Lawrence College is today, turned into a degree-granting university. In the mid-60s, the mayor at the time, Mayor Kaneb, with our local member of the provincial parliament, Fern Gaindon, who was also a cabinet minister, met. And to paraphrase Dr. Poirier, they decided to close the university because they did not want Cornwall people to get too much education. We capped our growth, and that we're reaping those rewards, or not rewards, today. We capped the growth. Every little community that has grown in Ontario is because of the university. Brantford had this problem, a university came in. North Bay had this problem, a university came in. Waterloo is one of the most prosperous places in Canada because they started a university. We had that opportunity and we capped that growth. And now we see the results today.
Well, that's going to be for a whole other interview and story. Thank you for your time today.